You can't be serious, man.
Well done.
You cannot be serious.
To say, here we are again. We've just spoken to the
Wow, how was Neil Curley?
Yes. How was he?
I
was
thought
good.
he was good.
No, and
But
Don,
you say that about everyone.
but
You're the most insincere person.
I
we've
am.
packed
Two of my friends have just walked in. Will you not berate me in public, please?
We've packed Curls into a cab and he's on the way down to
Where?
a lobster cave.
He's driven across from Adelaide to go to the lobster
He
cave,
has,
told me.
and he's brought a prosthetic leg across with him. He has a surgeon over there that knows how to fit prosthetic legs to people who've got stumps.
I saw Bill in the bay the other day.
We're swimming in circles?
Yes.
That's
going
right.
He's only got one arm, you know.
He was after haddock.
So why did Neil just bring over a leg? What about an arm?
No, because Bill's going to try and he's going to try and it's a withered arm because the shark apparently only took it from the elbow.
What about the black cods?
Yeah, no, he's had treatment for those. He's had ray treatment, stingray treatment. No, could I just tell you about?
Where's Kenneth?
Hang on.
Why? He's been advertised
The
far and wide. Where
Bill,
is he?
We're going to have to start a GoFundMe page for Bill because he is giving deals up until the 24th of December. If you spend $500 on a gift voucher, you'll get $1,000 worth of food. And he is destitute. He can't buy presents for his kids, for his family, because he's giving it all to the public.
All right.
He's got deals coming out his coit.
Where?
What?
He
Fish
doesn't have a
deal?
court anymore. Where is?
Uses it as a fish basket
where
to catch
is-
lobsters.
Where is the
They
Premier?
swim up his ort.
Come on.
What's that?
Where's the Premier?
So I'm just telling you about Bill because that's where we've
No,
seen
no,
No,
Bill
Michael's
Curley.
not interested in Bill. He's
of course
interested
I am.
in.
I'm interested in the bloke that you advertised
for
for 3 weeks and he's not here.
We've had two. I've had 2 contests going on between Don Scott and Jeff Kennett and you and Rex Hunt. We'll get to you and Rex Hunt in a minute.
Oh.
I have had the most extraordinary week with 2 children.
Oh,
2 children.
you were
are-
going to set me up last week, you two. You
We
didn't
were.
tell me.
Yeah.
So you're just...
So let me just, Jeff Kennett said he would come in and do this. Now, I don't mind if he gets annoyed or doesn't want me to read out the texts, the exchange. This is ridiculous what has been going on. Well, I asked Jeff Kennett on the phone, would he come in and do a podcast? He said, and this is his exact words, he said, I said, do you want me to know, would you like me to tell you who we do it with? He said, I don't give a fuck who you do it with. Now,
That's a direct quote. Yeah.
that is a direct quote. When
Are
I
you
say-
reading a text or you
I'm
quoting?
about to. No, this was a phone conversation.
Right.
When I say, and incidentally, do you know the word fuck is not really a swear word? Now, this is just by the way.
It's
fuck,
a noun, isn't it?
It's an acronym for unlawful carnal knowledge, F-U-C-K. That's what it means.
Unlawful carnal knowledge.
For unlawful carnal knowledge. That's what fuck means.
Okay.
It's not
Really?
really.
Is that right?
I just thought I'd tell you that. That's what it means, yeah.
Really?
It's like Qantas. Is an acronym for an airline.
Queensland and Northern Territory Aerial Service.
So that's right. So if Mr. Joyce and Mr. Joyce went on a furlough or something, they would travel on an acronym called Qantas.
Yeah, okay.
The 2 of them.
Righto.
So Jeff said he would come in, right? He said, "Send me some dates, not dates that you eat, but send me."
No.
So then I sent him a text to make it formal. Now I'm going to read these out. You'll be staggered by this. This is how 2 grown men act in this.
No,
day and
hang
age.
on.
You
Not
hang
two-
on.
No, one grown man.
This is my text to Jeff. We would be very desirous of you coming onto our podcast because you're a star. I was buttering him up.
Yes.
If you wanted to check it out, we're on Podbean or iTunes. You cannot be serious. Sam, Mike and Don. We do it at wherever we do it, and we're eagerly awaiting your reply, right? So I told him who we did it with. This is him saying, I don't give a fuck who you do it with. Sam, this is him replying, can do it up till 10 a.m. or 11:30. Sorry, otherwise I can't change. How long does it go for? I text back, we can start as early as you like and it goes for as long as you wanted to or till you've had enough, right? Then he texts back, yes, we can do it we can do it at 9 a.m, please. This is trying to get him to come on.
Yes, I understand.
Sam, he says.
Are dates important here?
That this is the time frame I'm doing it. So at 8:21 on December the 4th, he says, yes, can we do it at 9 a.m? At 9:15 the next day, he says, Sam, sorry, but I can see no point in giving further oxygen to Don's eccentricity. Thought it
What?
was...
What?
I thought I was doing it for you. So sorry, Jeff.
Oh.
This is after you were in the paper saying...
My eccentricity.
This is what... Don.
Just
this
one
is
man's
what
opinion,
Jeff
Don.
said. This is what Jeff said. So I texted back to Jeff. This is straight after I got it. It says, you were doing it for me, Jeff. I asked you, did you want to know who we did it with? And you said I couldn't give a F. Fuck. So then I told Scott, out of courtesy, I told you, Don.
Who's Scott? My name's Don.
I'm speaking to Jeff Kennett. We're trying to do a brevity of words here in the
Jeez,
texting
it's not
machine.
working. Come on.
So then I told Scott you had agreed to join us, and unbeknownst to me, it was raised at some Hawthorn Football Club meeting about his membership. Then it was made public. We have spoken to many prominent people on our podcast, and you were to be another of them. Of course I would address Scott, but I had no intention of skewering you. Come on, don't make it bigger deal out of this than it needs to be. You had heard our previous discussions with Scott. It was on your side. Please join me. I'll give Don the week off if he didn't want you to be here. Okay, he says. This is his reply. Okay, will do. And then I reply, I say, if you are saying you will join me...
Hang on, well, just hang on. So he's going to come on if I'm not here.
He says, okay, I will do. Will you come on? That's his reply. So then I say, if you're saying you'll join me, I thank you. Then he says the next day, he says pleasure, right? Means he's accepted. That's twice.
Thank you for explaining pleasure.
And then he says, the next text I get is, Sam, I'm very sorry. There is nothing of value that can come out of me coming on the podcast now for the Hawthorn Football Club. I am so sorry. Count me out. Not my doing. Cheers. Jeff, I text back. This is good,
This
isn't
is
it?
unbelievable. This is like
This
Blue Hills.
is unbelievable. What an extraordinary person you are, Jeffrey. This is me. This is not the Nuremberg war trials. This is a pissy little podcast about people of interest in a little country at the bottom of the world. You never know. If you gave Don Scott a chance to be contrite, everyone might be a winner. Not sure if it would be too positive for Hawthorn Football Club, this to be an ongoing saga when it could easily be turned into a positive. We do this every week, so you're not penalising us. We will ask someone else. We asked Neil Curley. But I wanted you. There was no agenda when I first contacted you. Will you join us? Sorry, Sam, he says no. I text back again. Just checking. Are you the person now? I shouldn't have done this, but I did do this. I thought, no, fuck it. This has got really. I would never do this, but
You did.
I said, just checking. Are you the person that once asked me to fly down to Warrnambool to speak to some disparate, not desperate,
This is what the mafia do.
disparate farmers on behalf of Beyond Blue, which I was happy to do? That's what friends, even acquaintances, do, let alone ask to be paid for it. Then he texts back. This got up his dress. That is not fair, Sam. I gave 17 years of my life and 40% of my time to Beyond Blue. There is just no value in pouring petrol on the fire. As Don said, he only cares for himself and the people he played with. I play for the Hawthorn Club and its members. Hopefully Don by next year will understand the opportunities the club and his members have given him. So Don, then I just got a bit on his side just to try and smooth him over. So I said, of course it's not fair me saying about going down to Warrnambool. I said, I'm not an Indian giver. I hope that's not racist, but I said I'm not an Indian giver. You know what that means, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. But I know Don Scott well, and he's not sure how to extricate himself from the situation without losing face. You, I said to Kenneth, you are bigger than this. You've both saved the Hawthorn Football Club in your own way. For God's sake, Jeff, take the initiative and resolve the matter with us. Sheahan and I have been on your side. Just check if you don't believe us. If this was the reason we wanted you on, I would have asked you long ago, as this saga has been going on for ages. You'll feel better and relieved, and so will he. You've handled far greater dramas as Premier, and you play people on a break. I'm not accepting your answer. And then I didn't hear from him. So I said, in spite of everything, I ask again, would you come on the podcast next Tuesday? I know your diary, it's free because you told me so last week. Sam, this is the last one. Sam, kind of you to ask, but I really don't want to seek and don't need to keep regurgitating the Don story, nor does the club need it. Don, I know, is just being Don, but our membership is my only consideration, and Don has no respect for them. So I am very sorry, but no, I will not attend. That said, have a great festive season, Jeff. And I sent back a thumbs up, an emoji, and he said again, sorry, mate. That is the end of it, Don. That is a simple request.
It's not the end of it. No, it's not.
That's the end of the texting.
Yeah.
That is a simple request for two grown men to sit opposite one another and both eat some humble pie and get on with life. But no, Don, you are so rigid, and he is
let him respond.
Fatuously being stupid, Jeff is.
But let him respond to that. Most of that's new to you, isn't it? Yeah. What's your reaction?
It's just
Come on, spit it out.
Come on, Don.
Why wouldn't somebody come? It was just like he deflected. A journo rang me when Bernie Quinn first let the story out here on this podcast. Bloody Bernie. Wouldn't have got that far, didn't open his mouth. And I had the letter from Jeff Kennett, signed Jeff Kennett. And the journo rang him up. Yeah, he would. Kennett. And so he immediately, he referred to the letter, the journo, and he immediately he was in Sydney when the journo rang him, and he immediately deflected it to the chief executive, Justin Reeves. So he obviously doesn't like confrontation because he knows he'll be found out.
Okay, but I'm more interested in what your reaction was when you heard that Kenneth said that you put your own interests ahead of the football.
You're not for the club.
Yeah.
That's just... that's just...
That
infuriates. That's another one against him.
I can sense the volcano just going the
ready.
verbal.
So he... When I asked him, he was happy to come on. Because he knew that you did the podcast, because I told him, and he knew, or else he wouldn't have said, I don't give a F, because he knew that you were on it. What got up his nose is the publicity in the paper, because it looked as though we were trying to, gild the lily. And I said, if I was going to ask you about Don Scott, I would have told you we have had prominent people on, the mayor, we've had Andrew Bolt, we've had Caroline Wilson, we've had prominent people in the community. And
Shane Warne.
And we wanted you to come on because you're an interesting person.
But he accepted, didn't he accept before the annual general meeting? And why wouldn't he accept now to come on? Because he would be confronted with the truth.
Which
and
is
what is the truth, Donald?
The truth is...
Yes, what is it?
That nobody prior has been presented at the annual general meeting with legend stations, not one. They've been at 8 different functions. He turned it around. The recommendation was it was to be done at the Life Members Dinner.
Whose recommendation?
The recommendation of the Hall of Fame Committee. Alan Martello signed or made the recommendation. Martello rang him the next day when I received the letter. asking him why is it being done at the annual general meeting. And he said to Marty, he either turns up at the annual general meeting or he doesn't receive the award. So that was the ultimatum, and Marty conveyed that to me the next day after I received the letter.
So he changed the procedure just to get up your nose, you reckon?
No, he changed the procedure because they've got nothing to hang their hat on as far as football performance. They had an annual general meeting, and they use that to sway the members and gild the lily, smoke and mirrors. They can't hang anything on their performance as a football team this year.
Can I look at you?
And so they did or wanted to make...
could I look you straight in the eye, Donald, and say, do you not think you two are beyond belief to be so childish about something that could be a great... He says it's no positive benefit for the club, me coming on. It would be absolutely a benefit for the club. They could resolve
you
the
get
matter.
no argument.
It is absolutely.
But you two are just as to blame as well. You weren't going to tell me he was coming on anyway. You both were guilty last week.
No, I said to John.
Yes, he did.
I said we can't ambush him.
We did. He did.
I did.
And then,
but Johnny, he only came clean when I suggested bringing Kennett on.
The man who sits alongside us, who we can't name, Rodlaw, he said, you cannot do that to Don. I took counsel from my two advisors and I said, right. And then I told you, Don.
Okay, now, Donald, let me just...
After I rang you...
But that's all peripheral stuff.
What do you mean after you rang me?
Why is it not up to the footy club to determine when and where they issue legend status?
Why isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the recommendation's been made by a subcommittee.
That's okay, but why can't the club say the AGM is where everyone's available to turn up? You can't. The public, the Hawthorn supporters can't go to the Life members meeting, but they can go to they can go to the AGM.
They can too, but there's a lot of guys that are Life members. A great percentage don't even go to the annual meeting.
Did you ever think, Robocop? Did you ever think that
you'll have to do a few more of those bicep curls? You've got wrinkles on your arm.
Lift your arm again.
Lift your arm again. Just lift your arm.
You got housewives' arms.
You've got shocking arms.
You have. Wear long sleeve shirts next time.
Yeah. Just lift your arm.
Is this Bill and Ben the Flower Pot Men? What is this?
Can you Botox your elbow?
How about you Botox your brain?
Look, Mickey, look. Look at it hanging down.
Jeez, they are.
Old man's elbow.
Look, why don't I get a snap of it and we'll put it on Snapchat or something? Robocop, did you ever think, Don, listen to me, man. Stop thinking you're smart. Is that wind or you got a grin on your face?
No, I'm amused.
Yeah, you've amused yourself. That's the most simple form of entertainment is amusing yourself. Did you ever think you might pick up the phone and say, Jeff, it's Don, listen to me. Any sensible man would do this or person. Jeff, it's Don Scott here. I really appreciate your offer. Do you think there'd be any chance that you would be able to present me with this extraordinarily great gesture of legendary status at a different forum? Would that be all right? I'm just asking. And Jeff, do you know what Jeff would say? Well, let me think about this, Don. We usually do it this way, but could I take it on board and I'll get back to you? That's what he'd say. That's how two grown men discuss problems. And Jeff's been the premier, for God's sake. He's dealt with...
That's fair, Donald.
Well, just because he's premier?
No, he's
dealt with... Why couldn't he have rung me initially and said, I am right, this is what's happened at the board meeting, and explained instead of writing or getting someone to write a letter and he just signing it?
When did the feud with Kennett start?
40 years ago.
40 years ago.
Well, years ago, you form an opinion with someone about someone, don't you? And their public persona.
Let's just do it live on. This is how it would go. Pretend I'm Jeff Kennett.
This is not true.
Pretend I'm Jeff Kennett. All right.
Haven't we got anything else to discuss?
Hello, is that you, Don? You've answered the phone, right? Is that you, Don?
Can you believe?
Go on.
This? Hello, Jeff.
Yeah, Don. I hear that you don't want to be presented. Would it be possible if we could have a chat over a coffee that you could possibly come and be presented with legendary status at a different forum that you wanted at? Would that be unreasonable? Would you like to meet?
Yes, that'd be fine, Jeff.
Well, what's your problem if we can do it over the phone? We mightn't have to have coffee. What's your problem about going and doing it where I suggest?
Well, Jeffrey, the recommendation was it would be done at the annual meeting, at the Life members, and I feel much more comfortable doing it there. And it was my choice.
Is it your choice, is it?
I don't think it's your choice that you are presented with legendary status.
No,
That's
it's my
the club's
choice of venue.
The
suggestion was...
I find that unreasonable, Don, because...
Can we move on? I mean, there's more important.
I find that... I cut my voice is going. I find that unreasonable, Don, that it's
just
not
an
your...
excuse for him to show
It's
off.
not your
choice. It is just...
Now, Jeff will probably get wind of this, or it'll be in the paper or something. Wait till we get on who might put this in the paper.
Fiona Byrne.
Hang on.
What's wrong with Fiona Byrne?
Just a minute. Hang on.
What?
Just one.
What?
Don.
What?
We're finishing.
You're doing an Andrew Bolt. You don't like...
Don.
What?
We're finishing this, then we're doing that.
Thank you. What?
I'm now putting out an all-points bulletin to Jeff Kennett. Could he come in again and try and discuss this? It would only be a positive for the Hawthorn
I reckon he's a certainty now. Yeah, after he hears this,
he will never speak to it. I like Jeff. I've played golf with him. He's a good bloke. I cannot understand this. This is just so petty. So that's that finished, Don. You're just as much to blame as he is. So then I see that you have, luckily, Mick, and this is why I'm going to get Rex Hunt in here, you've buried the hatchet. I read in the paper, Fiona Byrne puts in the paper.
Fiona Byrne.
Fiona Byrne is a
She's a colleague of yours.
No, she's not.
She's a
Andrew...
she rings me.
Or you ring her.
I do
about your podcast.
I've never rung
Sam Newman's podcast.
I never ring Fiona Byrne unless she rings me. I'm courteous and always return journalists or commentators or gossip columnists' calls.
Right.
So she rang me and she said, how's it going? I said, well, Mick and Mick, Sheahan and Rex had a bit of a standoff, and I said, could both of you, a bit like Jeff and Don, both of you, could you grow up and not walk out on each other? And I think things are fine. I think I said that.
Did you?
No, I think Rex was winding Mick up.
Oh, do you really?
I said
that's a different
to her,
view you had at the time.
When
you thought that he'd lost his marbles and was deranged.
He has.
You cannot be serious.
No, Rex, if you're listening, you have lost your marbles and you are deranged.
Yeah.
So I make no apology for that. But she says that you've buried the hatchet. I didn't say that, you must
Can I have a look at that?
Yes, of course.
Please.
So Fiona Byrne always asks me for comment and never prints anything that I don't say.
What about your podcast?
But
about Sam Newman's podcast?
I don't say it's my podcast,
You
Mick.
do so, doesn't he, Michael? Every time.
And
Have
you
a look at the
dominated.
flab on your arms,
In
Don.
fact, Don and I wonder why we come in, actually.
You've got...
Well, this is just a fill for them getting the arse off the footy show.
Your arms look like...
We're here.
Your arms...
We're just here boosting him up mentally.
Your arms look like...
bashing me, will you?
Your arms
I
look
want
like...
a reaction. You're not smiling. You're not contributing.
No, because I'm
Your
looking at...
arms look like spaghetti,
Righto.
Don. They're just
I'll
flimsy
go and do
little...
some bicep curls if you're happy.
There's a story in Sunday's Herald Sun.
Yes?
Fiona Byrne.
Yeah, you're going to read out.
Rift settled as radio lures Hunt.
Yes?
Rift settled. There's two people involved in that
That's
rift.
3AW. That's nothing to do with us.
Now, it's the rift about
Yes.
he and I,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct.
Yeah. Wouldn't you think, how difficult would it be to get in touch with me?
Well,
Who?
Wouldn't you
Fiona
think
Byrne or Rex Hunt?
No, Fiona Byrne.
Well, she listens to this and she probably
yeah.
deduced that you and Rex had solved your differences.
Oh, really? She just decided that, did she?
Well,
is it difficult to pick the phone up and say, Rex says that there was all theatre and the rift's been settled? And to which I would have said, that is bullshit, Fiona.
I
think you've got
Would you have said that to Fiona? Have you ever met Fiona?
Fiona's getting 150 grand a year, right? One column a week.
Is she?
What about being a bit creative and a bit and getting on your bike and doing some work?
You might be taken to the sexual
She
discovery.
recycles bloody Twitter and stuff out of the radio,
anybody
off the
you'll
radio
call
and out of the
I
newspaper.
tell you who's coming in next week.
And if you haven't
Fiona
worked it
Byrne.
out,
Fiona Byrne.
Terrific.
if you haven't worked it out, I'm not
Terrific.
happy with her. That stuff about the rift being settled, it makes me look like a goose. There's a couple of mates of mine here, and I've been saying that he's a prick, that bloke, and I don't like him. And they say, but you've settled your rift with him.
But as Don said, it's just
Theatre.
theatre.
You didn't think it was theatre when it happened.
I thought it was fantastic. I couldn't believe my luck. To
Really?
see you melt and get throw the toys out of the cot. You threw the toys out of the pram.
Which you never
You
do,
walked
do you?
out to the car. You sat in the car sulking, and Rex said, "Well, I'm going too." Seriously, what are you laughing at, Don?
I think it's the funniest podcast. I listened to it again on the weekend in its entirety.
Hey,
I just couldn't believe two men.
We play that every
Two
other
men
week.
could carry on like that. I thought it was terrific.
We're going to play that every other
Kenneth's
week.
side now.
We're going to play the Rex Hunt Mike Sheehan podcast every other week, like Fox are playing Mark Jackson and
They give that a run, don't they?
because you're the only common denominator in this. You're so shallow.
What about
shallow? How?
I think you've got a problem,
you take
Michael.
that back or I'm going.
All right, I'm taking it back, Mick. Now, so you two, the four people I have to deal with, you and Rex and Don and Jeff, is extraordinary. You're like children.
Oh, yeah. And then when someone whacks you...
Who's whacked him?
Caroline Wilson.
Oh, the plumber. Did you tell me the plumber?
The plumber whacked you.
What about Peter Yo? Did he whack you or did you get him when he's back?
I didn't mean that whacked. I mean when they criticise him, you go off your tree.
Well, hang on.
And everyone else, that bloke in the urinal at the MCG,
What about
whacked him.
He didn't mean Don, you dumbass. He didn't mean whack like that. He meant whack verbally.
Yeah.
So I sat quite happily opposite Caroline Wilson, and
No, you didn't. That's bullshit.
You were uncomfortable. You were nervous before and you were nervous after.
I said...
You were really uptight.
I said...
And she stitched you up that day,
Oh,
and
no,
you didn't like it.
I thought he went easy on her.
I said, I'm not disputing any of that. I'm saying I sat opposite quite happily someone who didn't have a good opinion of me, and we traded blows, but we faced each other. She wandered off, I wandered off to our neutral corners, and here we are. You two do it through a third and fourth hand medium by shouting and slagging people without actually sitting here copying it.
When did I slag people?
Oh, Fiona Byrne on 150 grand a year. She just regurgitates tweets.
Well,
and why doesn't she do something and get off her ass?
That's not slagging her. That's just a fairly accurate assessment.
Well, Mick, please.
Fiona Dull, my number is in the Herald Sun directory. Anytime you need me, just call me and ask me if I'm happy whether the rift's been settled.
Well, I'm getting Rex and Fiona in here.
Are you really? Well, there'll be plenty of seats for them because I won't be in this one.
Oh,
that's what I'd expect from you, Mick.
Precious.
For God's sake, man, stump
God.
up. Now, I've got a couple of other things to do. Now, don't look at if you look at your watch again, I'll break it.
Oh, really?
Now,
it's a Rolex.
Could we just do this? This is a serious thing.
Yeah.
This is a serious allegation.
We're done with Fiona. Yeah, okay. Yep.
A serious allegation about corruption at the highest level. This is an allegation that a whistleblower...
Can we comment on this if it's an allegation?
I think if you say it's an allegation... The Dandenong Council are in dispute with a company that used to provide services called iCook. iCook, a $6 million a year business, I'm told. They have now singled out a competitor of iCook. They've given them favourable treatment to take over the contract, and they've allegedly said that they found a grub in the food, and a whistleblower called, and she has been named, and we can name her, a whistleblower called Kim Rogerson, who is a woman. Kim is a woman.
She works for the council?
She works as a health inspector for the council, and she said she blew the whistle on the Dandenong Council, saying they corruptly have inferred that iCook are not hygienic because they found a grub, and she blew the whistle on them because they have favourably given... invested in another company who have taken over because it's a quid pro quo operation, and as a result of iCook not being their contract being cancelled, 41 people are out of work. Kim Rogerson got sacked as a result of being a whistleblower. No further action has been taken against iCook, which means you would probably think it's been bodged up. This is an allegation, and no court action has been taken.
But they're no longer in business?
They're no longer in business, and they are suing currently Dandenong for $25 million or something.
So are they saying that the grub was planted?
This whistleblower is, and she worked as a health inspector for the council.
I think we've got to have whistleblowers, and we've got to have the ABC or investigative journalists in our society in our world, because a lot of this, and we know corruption.
As a result of Kim Rogerson being sacked, she is now destitute. And I don't have any political axe to grind.
But hang on, couldn't she get a job at another council?
I think she has been smeared, Donald, and it is finding it very hard to get work in that profession. And as a result, I am advocating this, but she has now a GoFundMe page called under Kim Rogerson, and if you would like to help out Kim Rogerson on a GoFundMe page because she has been summarily sacked for blowing the whistle on what is a corrupt act, allegedly, by the Dandenong Council, allegedly. There's no charges have been brought, so it's all just drifted to a halt, hoping no one will notice it or go on with it. So if you wish to contribute to Kim Rogerson's well-being, you can go to her GoFundMe page. This is not a paid political advertisement because I couldn't give a stuff.
Can't she go to a higher authority or an authority?
Yes, she can.
Where can she go?
So that's exactly why that's exactly why you go to a GoFundMe page, Don. These things cost money, and that's what it's about. In order to fight this, she hasn't got any money, or any whistleblower or anyone who goes GoFundMe looks for money to go on and take it to the next level because the cost of legal representation is exorbitant. So that's about as far as I can go with it. But I'm sure it should have received more than this, and it's bubbling along. Now, Mick, go ahead.
I want to ask you about one of your favourite topics, the graffiti in this city.
Well, I'm glad you did.
And those half a dozen young men who defaced trains and other parts of Melbourne.
Righto, let me just...
And added 120 grand to the taxpayer
and they
bill.
Terrorised passengers and commuters.
The question is, they're pleading, what do we do with them?
Hang on, just let me read their names out. These are pieces of shit. These are real vermin. These are pieces of bacteria.
Yeah, you've made your point. Yep. Tell me their names.
Liam Cale, Mitchell Quinn, Kyle White, and Adam Cook.
There's 6 of them, isn't there?
And what age are they?
Yep, the 6. I'm still going. Yeah. Miles Woodhead. How appropriate. Jordan Davis. Drew Hyland. These people have gone on a campaign of terror to deface public assets, namely the train system, terrorise commuters. They've incurred $110,000 worth of damage. They've paid not 1 cent of it back.
So what do we do with them?
We incarcerate them until, or we what do you call when you put a caveat on their property or their assets until they pay back every cent.
Yeah, but they also should clean the carriages themselves, John.
Well, I don't.
I don't mind that, Don. I don't mind that.
And this is what we said to Sally Capp last. She was right on to graffiti and said it's a disgrace. And I asked, would she have the authority to? Of course, she doesn't. It's the police, and this is a criminal activity of people who are just vermin.
That's established. I understand that. We still need to direct to the issue of what we do. Is it if we throw 6 or 7 young blokes in jail, how does that solve the problem?
Well,
it's a deterrent, Michael. Is it a deterrent? It is a deterrent.
Okay.
I'm not sure jail is a deterrent.
No.
It is.
Well, I'll take that on advisement, Mick. But until they can warrant or guarantee that the 7 of them or 6 of them or however many names, they all stump up together the money somehow, whether they borrow it from their parents or they get a bank loan or they get a job and pay it off, they should be summarily held.
I actually, the part about paying it back is the part I think is, if you have to pay a HECS fee to study and make a contribution to the community, Why don't these people have to pay for defacing public property?
And also do time. That will be, Michael, you sit on the fence. It is a deterrent.
I tell you, put the fear of Christ in you if you have to go to jail.
It's obviously a big deterrent because the jails are overflowing.
I know they are with a lot of other things, and that's what's wrong with our
society. They'll say non-violent crimes, but of course drug peddling is a violent crime in the end because it kills the youth of today. But a lot of non-violent crimes like drug dealers are in jail, and people who don't actually assault people, white-collar crime. But there has got to be some penalty for those people who are just, it's not a question of just daubing carriages with graffiti, but terrorising the people on them, doing it in front of them.
But it is, John, it is. You're defacing something. And
they're pieces
horrible.
of shit.
It's horrible.
And shit is not an acronym. Shit actually means turds. A bit like Qantas.
You gave me a little...
No, Qantas is not turds, but Qantas is an acronym.
Oh, yeah.
Like fuck is.
You love saying that, don't you?
Well, it's for unlawful colon.
You said that 10 minutes ago.
Could we do a bit of Media Watch? Could I?
Oh no, Media Watch is an ABC show. Remember?
Or could we? We're using the term. I don't think they've registered the name Media Watch, have they? I think it's a common name, isn't it? Media Watch.
That's where the program.
Let's give me an analogy of some media. I was listening to the 3AW Macquarie Sports on Saturday, wanting to know about the President's Cup. Were the international side, where were they with the United States, the biggest sporting event in Melbourne for the year, without a doubt. They say, now, on sport now, here's the sport report. They did the EPL, the English Premier League in England. They did a basketball result of the Cannons beating the bloody Giants or the Bull Ants or something. They did the cricket scores, the one-dayer, and I thought, surely they're going to mention the President's Cup. Nothing.
The ABC.
What sort of people are in charge of the sports department or any departments? And this is the next thing I'm going to say. How many times do you listen to newsreaders say, and he contributed to the system or he distributed? The word is contributed and distributed. It's not contributed or distributed. That is how you say it. You don't pronounce the 8th letter of the alphabet.
Is it like brought and bought?
Yeah,
same thing.
No, that is an error.
No, because he made a mistake with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who did?
Him.
That is an error. You don't say the 8th letter of the alphabet. You don't call it H. It's H. If I hear one more person say H,
what about all your biases?
This is English. I heard someone on the news say it's reminiscent. It's reminiscent of days gone by. Reminiscent, that word is.
It is.
They said reminiscent. I heard someone say he got dizzy and got vertigo.
Are you serious?
I am, Mick, do you think I make this up?
John, you're going off.
What about nefarious? I heard someone say nefarious. It's nefarious.
It is. Okay.
Macabre. It's macabre.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Well, how many times? So while we're on the graffiti, Mick, we're on the graffiti.
I thought we were talking about the ABC sports coverage. Or what's on?
I want to ask you about...
Geez, Mick, you've just been paid. For God's sake, stay a bit longer, will you?
You get paid for this. What about...
While we're on the graffiti?
No, forget...
What about the police being given chalk to deface the police cars because they want more money? And we're trying to get graffitiists to put them in jail because they're graffiti trained. And the coppers are graffitiing their cars.
With chalk?
With chalk because they want a greater pay rise.
Chalk?
They're saying, well, give spray on chalk so they can write on the cars.
Spray on chalk?
Well, how else are they going to get their point across? I brought it up weeks ago.
So are you happy?
You gave it scant
Are you
recognition
happy
about
for
the politicians.
Public servants like the ambulance and the police to deface their cars.
Will you be quiet? I am against the politicians granting themselves.
So am I.
But you gave it scant regard.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Both of you did. You said it just goes before a committee. And Daniel Andrews, what is he getting? $48,000 increase. And the police who are only after, 4%? They should not. Those politicians should not grant themselves and set an example.
I agree.
They are a disgrace.
I agree with you,
they're
Don.
Elected.
I hope the police and the ambulance drivers and any other public servants get what they wish. Defacing your car and your ambulance and your police car in order to secure a pay rise is tantamount to graffitiing, which we're trying to get rid of out of society.
It'll probably wash off,
Johnny,
John.
Of course it washes off.
Okay, well, they're making a point. How else are they going to not make a point?
Well, by not graffitiing cars.
John?
Yes,
It's
Mike.
you. What did you meet Tiger at the weekend?
I didn't, but...
You met his wife?
No, I rode in a cart with her.
Didn't she?
Not his wife. His
girlfriend?
His companion.
Yeah, his companion.
Mightn't be a girl. But it is, it turns out.
Okay, so you and Warnie, you look like cheer squad.
That's the greatest experience of my life. If you're a golfer, walking one or two steps behind the people inside the ropes, watching them play, listening to the caddies discuss how to play a shot and the nuances of the green, they can hit that ball to within, honestly, a metre of where they want to from any distance, and they were absolutely preoccupied with not hitting the ball past the hole, so they had downhill putts. They all left it under the hole. And can I tell you, we were the international side trying to beat the Americans. What do you reckon the 12 people who represented America would be worth gross? I reckon they're worth almost $2 billion.
In what they've earned from the golf.
And sponsorship. Tiger's the first billionaire, along with Michael Jordan, so he's the second, to earn $1 billion out of his sport.
Yeah.
And the other 11 would be right up there. There'd be $500 or $600 million they'd be worth, those players.
Have you ever seen a better player than Tiger? I know you're a great fan of Jack Nicklaus.
Well, to be inside the ropes was the greatest thrill of my life, and I thank Shane Warne for that, because he got a ticket from the American lady Valerie, who gave him a ticket and said, did I want to join him? It was absolutely awesome. It was extraordinary. And I do say that. And then I get back and I see Time have made Greta Thunderlegs or Thunder Thighs or whatever her name is.
Just
Time's International Person of the Year.
Stop bashing me with
I'm trying to get you to help me get my word in.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very. How can you get a word in with him? Had
a
coffee.
Show,
Can I? Yeah, it is. That's right. I had coffee with Bob Shearer yesterday. Can I name drop? He said that Royal Melbourne, is that where it was held?
It was, Don.
One of the 5 toughest golf courses in the world, and apparently it was built 100 years ago, and it's still right up there today.
Don, you are spot on.
No, that Bob Shearer said this, not me. I know nothing about golf.
No, well, I'm responding to your statement that Bob Shearer said it. Mick, someone took issue with us. I got chastised for saying that maybe Metropolitan or Kingston Heath were better. This person tore me a new one.
Because you had Royal Melbourne 5th.
No, I didn't have it 5th.
Well, you had 4 in front of it. That'd probably make it 5th.
I didn't have...
You had Kingston Heath, Metropolitan, the old point at the National.
My point about Royal Melbourne was that they have 2 courses to pick 18 holes out of. So, of course, that composite course is magnificent.
Who whacked you over that?
A very, what did I say? Whack, yes, didn't punch me. A person I play golf with down at the National.
Who was it?
I forget his name.
You forget his name?
Well, I do. Is this it?
Top 6 in the world.
Oh, yes, top 6 in the world. The composite course is the top 6 in the world. My point was that no one ever gets to play the composite course, so it's a hybrid course. 18 holes picked out of 36. But it was absolutely awesome to be there, and the crowds were fantastic. I disliked them shouting at Patrick Reed, even though they said he was a cheat. Leave him alone, let him play golf.
What about if he did cheat?
Well, to keep going with it, and then have a listen to this. I tweeted, give Patrick Reed a rest, have some decorum and respect. And someone said, what about the people who boo Adam Goods on a weekly basis? Which is a very good point.
Yep.
Why is it all right, or why do we turn a blind eye to people booing footballers, Adam Goods, and then as opposed to shouting out at
I don't like booing.
At the golf,
Patrick Reed. Yes,
but the guy's got to concentrate before he hits the ball.
It's a reasonable point, Don. It's a reasonable point, and I was trying to work out why that is.
Do you
different.
think he's a cheat, Patrick Reed?
I don't think my point about him putting the club behind the ball in that sandy track was that he probably just wasn't thinking. He would know the cameras are on him. He would know that he's going to be, and he just probably thought, I'll just see how the club rests.
But golfers of the world have almost been united on this.
They have. And
you, no one defends the etiquette and protocol of golf more than you.
But I watched him. I was standing on the tee with Sheahan. Honestly, we were 2 meters away, not in the stand, standing beside them on the tee, and he went to hit his first shot, and someone in the crowd yelled out, "Oh, you'll be able to have a sandwich after the game." What's his name? Patrick. And look, honestly, pathetic. People just wanting to be noticed by shouting out, and then
that's the worst one. Is it get in the hole?
And then they said, someone yelled out, "How come your wife is the ugliest of all the?"
And that's no good.
Oh, but Mick. Honestly, why would you have to put up with that? The crowds were fantastic. They did. Someone yelled out, "Well, how come your wife's ugliest?"
Jacinda's lost it.
How come your wife is ugliest out of all the United States players?
Well, I didn't mean
shit. Honestly, and
you know what I mean, Jack.
Why don't you have a microphone, Jack? You should be involved.
You still haven't. Have you confirmed whether you think that he cheats or not?
Well,
does it matter?
Yes, of course it matters.
It's been chewed over. You chewed it last week. You're chewing it again this week.
No, the issue is Sam's talking about how the crowds reacted to him.
Well, I think the crowd.
One or two people yelling out.
That's the issue.
What's he saying?
Oh, I don't know. He should have a microphone.
I said that he put the ball down behind the club, and look, honestly, he did.
So just say it's a simple answer. You either think that he cheated or he didn't.
That is against the rules to do that. My point is that he was probably not concentrating. He would know the cameras are on him. I mean, honestly, he's one of the marquee players in the world. He would know, and he would think. It was just I cut him some slack.
Do you?
What did you think of Greta Thunderstruck being made Times International Person of the Year? How patronisingly sickening can you get?
I'm with you on that.
And then this is the trouble when you get children, put them up as symbols. She said those who disagree with climate change should be, in quotes, put up against the wall. Does that mean like
and shot?
And shot. She didn't say and
She's
shot.
withdrawn that.
Well, this is what happens when you get children as spokespeople.
Yeah. I was amazed that Time would anoint her as the person of the year.
That is just suckhole stuff. Seriously, that is pathetic. So
okay.
So is that Don?
Oh yes, Johnny.
Would you like to bring something else up about anything that's going on?
No, I did watch the ABC on the weekend.
Good on you, Donald.
And there was a show called Landline.
Yes.
You ever watched it?
Yeah, I have.
The best show on television.
The best show on television.
Yes, the ingenuity of Australian people on the land is just amazing, and what they come up with. It's a pity it couldn't go a little bit further.
What particularly captivated you?
What they do, I watch it week after week.
Irrigation?
No, the making of cheese, the way they
making of cheese.
Oh, this idiot. Have we got to put it? Michael, can I have a... Oh.
So tell us how they make cheese, Don.
Will you go? No, I won't say it.
Don.
Robocop.
I want you to go away from here today.
I'm looking at that shirt. That's one of your boys' shirts.
Yeah, and the flimsy arms and all that.
Yep.
I want you to go away today, Don, and think how childish you and Jeff Kennett have been.
Yes.
And resolve this next week.
But he's only young. He's 73.
And you with Fiona Byrne.
How old are you?
Start?
Don, you know it's a birthday for both. What am I saying? Of course you know. It's the birthdays of these two.
When's
John
your
Sam
birthday,
Newman
Johnny?
And Donald Scott. Sam's on the 22nd, is that correct?
Really?
Yeah, and you, Donald, do you remember your birthday?
Yes, the 20th.
Good boy.
20th.
What year were you born?
1947.
And do you know what I'm doing for my birthday?
What?
I've got a Mica ambulance bringing Bill Ferg to the Lobster Cave, 22 Concourse, North Concourse, Beaumaris. If you buy a $500 voucher, you'll get $1,000 worth of Bill's cods and his prawns and his pippies and his bloody mackerel and haddock.
His crabs.
He's
all of this is
going
on
to
your
let some of
birthday.
his crabs go specifically to fill in the quota. And the Micah ambulance will be down there, I think, at 2:30, and he's coming in a sort of a lung thing that on a walker. And Neil's sending a lung.
What would that be?
An iron
Lung,
lung.
an iron lung.
An iron lung. And Bill's there with a head just on a plate, and he'll speak to you. But
he can't show you the table.
It's been all worth it, Don, because some of the fish he has there, some of the fish are extraordinary.
In what ways?
Because they're fresh.
Fresh. Is he just gone out
What
and
are
caught
you
them?
like a parrot, Don? Every word I say, you repeat. Don's there. He's there. It's fresh. Fresh. He's got salmon. Salmon. Yeah, he has, Don. All that stuff. And I'm saying goodbye. You're saying goodbye? Yes, goodbye.
Goodbye.